those remote. I just want to remind us of some of the things here. This meeting has been selected. This council meeting has been selected to do a test run of a work session. In our case, a standard legislative council meeting using a hybrid format. A hybrid meeting is an in-person meeting, which provides the option for members and invited presenters to participate electronically. Please be patient as we test this new format and be mindful that those of us in the room, particularly those of us who are chairing these meetings and staff, are trying to monitor and manage an in-person meeting and an electronic meeting at the same time. With regard to meeting materials, we will be sending meeting materials to members electronically prior to the meeting whenever that is feasible. However, in most circumstances, hard copy materials distributed in person during the meeting will not be available to members participating electronically until later. For the sake of efficiency, we will not be pausing the meeting for the purpose of asking staff to scan, upload, and email hard copy materials received during the meeting. With regard to communication by those participating electronically, this is more relevant to committees, and I'm probably going to skip it. For those attending the meeting in the committee room, we will be strictly adhering to the mask policy. We also ask that those of you here be mindful of others' personal space in the committee room. To that end, we ask that if you are in the room, you take one of the available seats. If there are no seats available, we ask that you observe the meeting using a device in another space in the building, such as the Cross Cafe or the space adjacent to the security checkpoint at the State House entrance. We have a number of members in the meeting room here, and then a number of folks online. And so we will have Ms. Gresser call the roll.
Senator Pouliot.
Present.
Senator Timberlake.
Present.
Senator Daughtry.
Present.
Senator Vitelli.
Present.
Representative Stetkis. Representative Stetkis is absent. Senator Dillingham.
Here.
Representative Talbot Ross.
Here.
Representative Dunphy.
Here.
Mr. President.
Present.
And Mr. Speaker.
Present.
Mr. Speaker, you have a quorum.
Thank you. First item on our agenda is a summary of the January 27th, 2022 meeting of the Legislative Council. This appears beginning on page 1 of the calendar or of the agenda, and I would seek a motion to adopt. So moved by Representative Talbot Ross. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Dunphy. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, I will have I'll just take a show of hands. I think that's a lot easier, and it's good to be in person to do that. I see Senator Vitelli, Senator Daughtry. Is there possible to get that notification off the screen? Representative Dillingham has voted yes. I believe that's everyone participating remotely. Thank you. Unanimous of those present. Reports from Executive Director and Staff Office Directors. Fiscal report, Mr. Nolan. Come on down.
Good afternoon. I'm not going to share my screen, right? Okay, we're just going to do it from the paper copy, if everybody has a copy.
Yes, this begins on page 10 of our packet.
Page 10, yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the council. This is a fiscal briefing for January revenue. Again, it's on page 10. As you can see from that document, general fund revenue in January was positive again by 43 million, bringing the total for the year, in addition to what we recognized in December, to 133.4, or 4.7% above budget. That was largely a result of individual income tax being over budget. And within the individual income tax, it was estimated payments and withholding that were over budget. And just to remind you that the The Revenue Forecasting Committee will be meeting tomorrow. And will incorporate the numbers through January as well as February, as well as the CEFC forecast that was done at the beginning of February to revise the revenue forecast for its March 1st report. So the other pieces that were positive for January were corporate income tax, sales tax, as well as the state tax. So we'll be incorporating all those things into the new forecast. I just don't want to go too fast. Did you have any questions on any of that?
Any questions from council? Senator Timberlake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, Mr. Nolan, my question is I was looking at the highway fund. Is our actual tax revenue that we take in the state of Maine 208.5 million? Do I read that right?
Yes, that's actual highway fund tax revenue
For the year?
through January. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, I was going to get to the highway fund next.
Yeah.
I thought you.
No. No, sorry.
Mr. Nolan, you may continue.
Highway fund revenue was over budget by 700 or 0.7 million, 700,000 for the month of January, and is over budget by 3 million or 1.5% for the fiscal year to date. Fuel taxes were under budget by 200,000, 0.2 million for the month, but we're still over budget by 0.6 million. 0.4% for the fiscal year to date. Motor vehicle registrations and fees were above budget by $1 million for the month and over budget by 1.6 million, 2.8% for the fiscal year to date. And again, that will also be the subject of the Revenue Forecast Committee when they meet tomorrow to look at those revenue sources for the highway fund. So.
Senator Timberlake.
Now I'm on the right one. I'll finish up my question. Sorry about that. I apologize, Mr. Speaker. So my question to you is, what are we generating in tax? Is it the 208.5 million that we generated to fuel pump for taxes, or are we funding that with something else?
Well, the 208.5, part of that is fuel tax and part of that is motor vehicle registrations.
How much of it is fuel tax?
If you look at the next third page, the 208.5 says highway fund revenue. So I'm in like the middle of that document under actual. So the 208.455 is at the bottom. So 130.
Page 13 of the. Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm trying to find it here. So.
Sorry.
Okay,
So 136.8 is our fuel taxes. Of that, 120.5 is gasoline tax.
so 46.8 is the fuel tax, and 200,000 is the 200 million is the gasoline tax.
Over to the, are you looking at the far right?
Yep,
Okay, that's the budgeted amount for the whole year. Yes, 200.950 is the budgeted amount for the whole year. And
2022.
for 22, yes. And to
Okay.
date, actual is in the middle. If you come over 4 columns, actual is 120.5. And that 120.5 is the component of the 208.4 that was on the first page.
And we based our budget on the 200, right?
Yes, 209.950, yeah,
All right,
for fuel taxes.
all right.
And we'll be revising the forecast for that when we meet tomorrow and putting out our March 1st report.
I thank you. I'm sorry to bounce you around, but I was trying to just get that numbers down.
Nope, no problem.
Any other questions? stuff. Are there any other questions from council? Seeing none, Mr. Nolan, do you have any?
I was just going to quickly go over the cash balance. The average balance in the cash pool for January was 3.8 billion, an increase from December's average of 3.6 billion. And that net increase was largely the result of positive balances in the general fund, as well as positive independent agency balances. The average highway fund balance in January was 20 million, which was a slight decrease from December's average of 20.8 million. And then the last point is that, as I've said 10 times now, the RFC is meeting tomorrow to update the forecast for the March 1st report.
Great, thank you, Mr. Nolan. Are there any additional questions from council? Seeing none, thank you. The next report is Legislative Studies Report, Ms. Fox.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker, President Jackson, members of the Legislative Council. At the last council meeting, there were only 2 study reports that were still in progress, and I have an update on those. The Commission to develop a paid family and medical leave benefits program has since completed its work, and the report is printed. The other study for which I have an update on is the College Affordability and Completion Study, which has taken a new form as a subcommittee of the Education Committee. So as a commission, they have, since the due date passed, they have now become a subcommittee of the Education Committee, and they are finishing their work in that form and will be submitting a report to the Education Committee in March. That's it for me.
Are there any questions from council for Ms. Fox? Seeing none, thank you. I learned a new trick, really excited. I was able to pin the committee room on the Zoom. So if you look at YouTube, it's only the committee room right now. And as people participate over Zoom, I will unpin the committee room. So I don't know, I watched taxation this morning and the committee room was one of the small boxes like you see there. But if you're watching on YouTube right now, because I've pinned the committee room where it's the entire screen, so it's much larger. That's what happens when you have a 29-year-old speaker at the helm.
I wanted to make that joke too.
Anyway, reports from council committees, there are none. And I think because we have a number of folks waiting in queue on new business, if there's no objection, I'll take new business up first ahead of old business. New business, we have item number 1, which is consideration of after deadline bills. Starts on page 16 of our packet. The first item is submitted by the judicial branch. It is LR 2613, an act to amend the judicial districts and divisions for York County. We received a couple of email correspondence about this particular item and why it's needed. I have, I think, a brief understanding if folks want an explanation. There's currently the construction of a consolidated courthouse in York County, just so happens to be in my district, and it is ahead of schedule. And so they want to consolidate the docket for the consolidated courthouse ahead of what they had originally anticipated that date being. And so this bill would merely move up that consolidation of the docket for the anticipated opening of the new courthouse. Hopefully I did the judicial branch justice. No pun intended.
Mr. Speaker, I believe Julie Finn from the judicial branch is electronic.
Oh, sorry.
If anyone has any questions, she's available.
Okay. Are there any questions from council? Sorry, Julie, to steal your thunder. Any questions from council? Seeing none, is there a motion? Moved by Senator Timberlake. Is there a second? second by Representative Dunphy. All those in favor, I will have you just raise your hand. Unanimous in the room. I see Senator Vitelli, I see Representative Dillingham, and I see Senator Daughtry. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The motion prevails. Thank you, Julie. The next item is LR 2631, an act to allow excess electricity to be purchased at wholesale rates. The sponsor is Senator Russ Black, and I believe Senator Black is in the, yes, yep. Senator Black, the floor is yours when you have the moment. We'll come back. We'll come back to him. The next item is LR 2623, an act to require the Department of Professional and Financial Regulation, Bureau of Insurance to offer healthcare providers and insurers liaison services. Sponsor is Representative Ann Perry. Representative Perry, the floor is yours to tell us why this bill is after deadline and why it should be considered in the second regular session.
Thank you. And first of all, I have the screen. And at this point, I was asked by a independent provider for mental health services to bring this forward. She and other independent providers have had some real difficulty with negotiating insurance companies. And as a result, they have tried to find help with this or understanding of what they can do. And because they are finding more and more problems getting to the point of getting paid for services that they're doing, working on a shoestring many times, they would like to find a place that they can go to help with some of these issues. And noting that the Bureau of Insurance really is the place that has the information around relationships with insurance companies and what they're required to do. And some of you may know that on Channel 6 a few nights ago, there was an issue concerning Anthem that sort of addresses the issues that some of the independent providers are dealing with. I think that this is after deadline. This is an ongoing issue. And I think the sooner we can find a way to bring some help to these providers in terms of being able to negotiate what they need to do with insurance companies and give them the liaison that they need. That's the reason.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Are there any questions from council for Representative Perry? Seeing none, is there a motion? Motion to move it in, motion to move it out, motion of any kind. Representative Talbot Ross motions to move it in. Is there a second? Fails. Sorry, Senator Daughtry has seconded. Thank you, Senator. It's a little difficult. Any comments or questions on the motion? Senator Timberlake.
I'm not questioning, and I was listening. What at this point in time, isn't this something they can already do? Do we have to have this bill in there at this point in time? Is this an actual emergency? I mean, we're getting late in the session here. That's my question.
Yes, I think the intent is great, but I will not be supporting the motion. Ms. Gretzer, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot,
No.
Senator Timberlake,
No.
Senator Daughtry,
Yes.
Senator Vitelli,
Yes.
Representative Dillingham.
No.
Representative Talbot Ross,
Yes.
Representative Dunphy,
Yes.
Mr. President,
No.
Mr. Speaker?
No.
Mr. Speaker, the vote is 4-5.
Motion fails. Thank you, Representative Perry, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item is, I think Senator Black is rejoined. I'm not sure if he's able to hear us or not. Senator Black, are you able to hear us? He unmuted himself. He just unmuted himself. Senator Black, the floor is yours when you're ready.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I was having technical issues.
No worries. We're on LR 2631, which is an act to allow excess electricity to be purchased at wholesale rates.
Thank
Just
you,
want
Mr.
a brief description as to why it's after deadline and why it should be considered in the second regular session.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to speak and legislative council. In the rash of current bill in CMP and power bills going up, part of that is due to the net metering that we had in a bill that we passed a couple of years ago to buy it at retail price. And I've had constituents ask me to revisit that bill and consider changes to it to see if we can help lower their power bills.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions from council for Senator Black? Seeing none. Is there a motion? Senator Timberlake. Senator Timberlake moves it in. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Senator Pouliot. Any further discussion on the motion? Senator Jackson, President Jackson.
I've had discussions with Senator Lawrence, who chairs the Utilities Committee, about this issue. He assures me that they'll be dealing with it at the committee level, so I won't be supporting this motion.
Any further discussion? Senator Timberlake, Senator Pouliot.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's on the front page of the paper every day, this crisis with electrical rates. I'm definitely in support of this. I just don't see how we can in good conscience not be trying to move forward with a way to help people reduce their rates, you know?
President Jackson.
And I'm pretty sure we just said that we will be moving forward to help reduce the rates at the committee level, which is as quick as we're going to have it with this bill.
Any further, Senator Timberlake?
And I think Matt did a good job of saying it, but I just have heard up and down and in all the explanations I hear, and I understand what President Jackson's saying, that, you know, they're going to try to address it in committee. But I think if we have a specific bill that addresses just this issue, basically of the net metering and forcing CMV and Evergrid in them to have to buy electricity at full retail, that we need to address that so they can buy that at wholesale. And I just think this is the proper way to do it at this time.
Senator Vitelli.
Unmute. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to say that I actually have a bill already in committee that is aimed at addressing this very issue, and it's LD 1913. And the committee is very well aware of other issues around the NEB, and I think adding more bills to our plate will only complicate the issue further and slow down the whole process of really getting help out to the people in our community. So I'm not inclined to support this effort at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any further comments or questions? Senator Pouliot.
A question for the sponsor, if that's allowed. Yeah. Senator Black, I'm hearing from Senator Jackson and Senator Vitelli that there's already a bill to do this. Can you help share with us what might be different about what you're proposing here?
Thank you, Senator Pouliot. I was not aware of their bills and what the text of those bills are. I brought this bill forward because of the grave concerns of many of my constituents, and realizing that the net meter and net bill that we put in and I voted for a couple of years ago was in part the reason for this. So if there's a conversation going forward, perhaps my bill is not needed.
Any further discussion, comments, questions? Senator Vitelli, is your hand anew?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate the concerns that we all share about rising energy costs. I would point out that NEB has very little to do with the current spike in energy prices. And my bill is, again, LD 1913. I would recommend that you take a look at it, although it's being amended, and know that we're, as a committee, very serious about coming up with immediate solutions that can address this issue for people today. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Representative Dillingham.
I apologize and apologize to the committee. I am watching my nephew play in a championship and in a playoff game, so I apologize for the background noise. So I have a question for Senator Black as a sponsor. Now hearing that there's a possible venue for this piece of legislation that he could work with Senator Vitelli, is he offering to withdraw his bill?
Sorry, it was a little difficult to hear the question, but I think Representative Dillingham was asking if, based on what Senator Vitelli has offered, Senator Black, are you interested in withdrawing your bill? Is I think what she was asking you.
I fully don't understand if the bills that are before the committee are going to look at net metering along with the other issues. We all know there's other issues besides net metering. If they are going to consider net metering in their discussions, I would be fine to withdraw my bill. But if it isn't, I would like to leave my bill in place.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Pouliot.
Thanks. So I'm just reading the text of Senator Vitelli's bill. Unfortunately, we don't have text of a bill from Senator Black because it's not allowed to have text at this point. But this articulates kind of just a stakeholder group that would talk about stuff for a while and then talk about stuff for a while longer and then maybe do something. Whereas Senator Black's bill could have us potentially, I don't see any language here, but pass something that would change net metering. And as somebody that was a chief co-sponsor of that bill, I'll be the first to admit that we probably made a mistake there and need to revisit this soon because it's having a significant impact on the rates, which this stakeholder group things could just drag on forever and become another bureaucratic exercise and getting nothing done, so I would move this in.
I think we have a pretty good understanding of where folks are at. Senator Daughtry, do you have anything new to offer to the discussion?
I was just going to say, I know that as the Energy Utilities Technology has discussed everything that Senator Pouliot has gone over and have been working on it in an ongoing conversation. But yeah, at this point, I would say we should move the question.
Seeing no further comments or questions, Ms. Cresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot.
Yes.
Senator Timberlake.
Yes.
Senator Daughtry.
No.
Senator Vitelli.
No.
Representative Stetkes is absent. Representative Dillingham.
Yes.
Representative Talbot Ross.
No.
Representative Dunphy.
No.
President Jackson.
No.
Mr. Speaker.
Nope.
If it's 3-6, the motion fails.
Motion fails. Next item is LR 2639, resolve directing the Department of Health and Human Services to keep open a call center in Wilton. Senator Black, the floor is once again yours.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and Legislative Council. This is an issue that has just come up in the last couple of weeks since your last Legislative Council. We received notification that 45 jobs in Wilton, which is a call center, was going to be moved to Lewiston. In talking with them, we found out that these 45 main employees, state employees, would probably not, most of them said they would not go to Lewiston at $16.03 an hour and an hour plus drive time. And with daycare, they would not be able to continue on the state rolls, and they would probably have to try to find alternate employment in the private sector. There is this is kind of slap in the face to what the governor said in her state of the state, that she was going to be moving rural jobs, more jobs to rural areas. And I'm very concerned about these individuals and their employment, and they would like to continue to be working for the state of Maine in there. And we have plenty of facilities. The facility they're at is more than adequate. And so we visited it. Senator Representative Landry and myself have visited the site and talked to the employees, and they are very happy where they are. So we would like to see it stay in the site that it is, or at least in Franklin County.
Thank you, Senator Black. Are there any questions from council for Senator Black? President Jackson.
I don't have a question, but I too very much supportive of Mainers continuing to work in Maine. But I understand that there is some work being done on this, and so I'd move to table this issue until that work comes forward, and then we could revisit this.
Motion to table by President Jackson. Is there a second? Second by Representative Talbot Ross. No discussion on the tabling motion. All those in favor of, Ms. Gresser, call the roll on this.
Senator Pouliot,
No.
Senator Timberlake,
No.
Senator Daughtry,
Yes.
Senator Vitelli,
Yes.
Representative Dillingham,
No.
Representative Talbot Ross,
Yes.
Representative Dunphy,
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
6 voting in favor to table, 3 opposed.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Black, for your time today. The next item on the agenda is LR 2614, an act to establish the Maine Statewide Council on Community Integration, Migration, and Emergency Management. Representative Talbot Ross, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to table this bill.
Motion to table by Representative Talbot Ross, second by President Jackson. Ms. Gresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot,
Yes.
Senator Timberlake,
Yes.
Senator Daughtry, okay, Senator Daughtry absent. Senator Vitelli,
Yes.
Representative Dillingham,
Yes.
Representative Talbot Ross,
Yes.
Representative Dunphy,
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, and Senator Daughtry's return. Senator Daughtry, would you like to record your vote?
Yes, apologies, my internet ran away.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 9 voting in favor.
Unanimous of those present. It's a motion to table successful. There is one additional item here, LR 2643, resolve to authorize the Bureau of Parks and Lands to enter into a lease with Arustic Technologies Incorporated for a parcel of land in Township 11, Range 4. Senator Stewart, the floor is yours to explain to us why this bill is after deadline.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. I'll be brief. So Arustic Technologies is a company that's in my district, and in following the results of the referendum in November that changed the process where retroactively, whereby leases with BPL have to go through the legislature, we now need and they currently have been operating because they had what was previously a valid lease. There's now an issue with that lease that they need to have revised specific to that particular parcel of land. And so there needs to be an up or down legislative vote on that. Ideally this session, because like I said, they do have current infrastructure, towers, cellular towers and whatnot that are operating on that lease. And the Bureau said that basically the only thing they could do about it was to put in a bill now and hope that it passes. Otherwise, they're going to have some problems.
Thank you for the explanation, Senator Stewart. Are there any questions from council for the sponsor? Senator Timberlake makes a motion to move it in. Is there a second? Seconded by President Jackson. Ms. Cresser, any questions or comments on the motion? Seeing none, Ms. Cresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot. Senator Timberlake.
Yes.
Senator Daughtry.
Yes.
Senator Vitelli.
Yes.
Representative Dillingham.
Yes.
Representative Talbot Ross is absent. Representative Dunphy.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker,
Yes, and Representative Talbot Ross is returned. Would you like to record your vote on moving resolve to authorize the Bureau of Parks and Lands to enter into lease agreement with Rustic Technologies?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 9 voting in favor. The motion passes.
Thank you. Motion prevails. Thank you, Senator Stewart, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, I had another bill that was tabled previously. I don't know if I'm here and happy to talk about it if you would like. If not, I'm happy to move on with my day either way.
We are under new business at the moment, and I was going to go through the rest of the new business beforehand.
No problem at all. I can hang out
Sorry.
too. Totally fine.
Yeah. Next item on new business was item number 2, establishment of position in Office of Fiscal and Program Review to correlate with Legislative Council approved funding. Ms. Gresser, do you want to explain this?
Sure. So back in August, the Legislative Council authorized the establishment of a senior legislative analyst position, was called an economist position. And the council approved funding for the position. What this item would do is establish the position count for an ongoing basis, and would direct me to convey the information to the Joint Standing Committee on Appropriations for inclusion in their next document.
Thank you, Ms. Gresser. And this was a position that would allow for committees to take advantage of having someone with an economics background.
Exactly.
Any questions for Director Gresser on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the establishment permanently? President Jackson.
Just happens that there is one. Let the legislative council, my motion would be the legislative council establish one legislative position count beginning FY 23 for one senior legislative analyst position in the Office of Fiscal and Program Review, for which funding was authorized by the Legislative Council on August 29, 2021, and further, the Legislative Council directs the Executive Director to prepare and submit implementing language reflecting the decisions of the Legislative Council to the Joint Standing Committee on Appropriations and Financial Affairs on behalf of the Legislative Council and for inclusion in the committee amendment to the Governor's Supplemental Budget Bill LD 1995.
Thank you, Senate President Jackson. Is there a second? Second by Representative Dunphy. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. Ms. Gresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot.
Yes.
Senator Timberlake.
Yeah.
Senator Daughtry.
Yes.
Senator Vitelli.
Yes.
Representative Dillingham.
Yes.
Representative Talbot Ross.
Yes.
Representative Dunphy.
Yes.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, it's unanimous of those present.
Thank you. Motion prevails. Item number 3 is funding of dues shortfalls for the National Conference of State Legislatures, otherwise known as NCSL, and the Council of State Governments, otherwise known as CSG, and state fiscal years 2022 and 2023. Ms. Gresser, the floor is yours.
So beginning on page 20, you'll find information on the legislature's annual dues payments to the CSG and NCSL, and as well as communications from CSG and NCSL regarding Maine's annual dues. In the past, we have, the Legislative Council has authorized payments to make up the difference between the amount that's budgeted and the dues imposed by NCSL or requested by NCSL and CSG. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And I think normally we would have had this conversation last year. However, I think when we approved the legislative budget, we didn't do so during an in-person council meeting. We did so through ballot.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Obviously, page 20 reflects what legislative council has done in the past. In some cases, we have met the requests from NCSL and CSG entirely. In some cases, we came within, relatively close to the number that they've asked for, and in some cases, we simply did not. We stuck with what was budgeted for in the budget. So I guess my question would be, what do we anticipate having additional resources to allocate for this purpose? If we were to allocate additional resources to meet the dues from these two organizations, what could we be taking that money away from? Would there be something else that we might want to use? In past practices, when we have a balance in the legislative council budget, what could those funds be used for? What have they been used for? So I want to just get a better understanding of what we might be, what the totality of this decision might be, if that makes sense.
So I can say that in this current fiscal year, in the legislative all other account, which would be the account that we would use to provide funding for this, we do expect to have sufficient balances to cover this funding as a result of reduced travel, reduced printing, things that are reductions as a result of the pandemic. So we do expect that we would have sufficient balances to cover it. With respect to the larger question of what else we could do with it, I'm happy to get additional information about what has happened in the past and provide that information to you.
Thank you. Just one more question. Would any of that balance be carried forward towards like legislative studies?
I think the balances could be could be carried forward and used for whatever the
Okay.
legislature would want.
That's helpful. Senator Timberlake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Chris. My question is, how do they arrive at this number? I mean, I see we estimated 87,000 and now they want an extra $30,000 if I read that right, 30,563, but how do they arrive at this number?
So CSG and NCSL both, I mean, they're separate organizations and they both have formulas that they use. And both of the formulas, I believe, have approximately 50% of the formula of the amount as a given, a base amount, and then 50% of the rest of it depends on the state and population and things like that. So each of those two organizations arrives at their number differently. That's their number. And how, I assume that, or were you asking how did we arrive at 209 as in the baseline? Because
No, I think I was asking a little bit of both.
okay,
I think I was asking how CSL comes up with their, because it looks like we appropriate, as I read it, we appropriated 87,806 is 6 is the way I read it. Now, am I reading it wrong? They're asking for 118,000, which is a difference of 30,563.
yes,
Am I reading that right?
you are.
So I'm asking if we estimated our cost at 87,806, why did we estimate at that price in the begin with?
Yeah,
Well, no, because if you go back to the one in 2020, That's 113, 18, 812.
What we made, council made a decision and that year to increase it to meet the actual dues that were requested by the organization. In 2020, CSG requested that we pay $113,812. And we paid them what they asked for because council made a decision at that time to pay more than what was budgeted for. So,
Yeah, no, I get that.
I'm not arguing.
No,
one way
I'm
or the other.
just trying to figure out how they arrived at this number.
Yeah. The only reason why, I mean, speaker from North Dakota who serves on their on CSG's council executive board drew me to the fact that we did not pay our total dues. So I raised it and here it is for discussion. So if he had not said anything, I don't think we would even be having this discussion today. Senator Pouliot.
I guess I'm kind of confused. Like when I get a bill, I don't just pay less than what I'm billed. So is this like an optional thing to pay this amount? I'm really confused.
I mean, I think my understanding from talking to CSG, at least, I'm not sure in the case of NCSL, I think they're appreciative of the fact that we have budgeted for paying some of the dues, which we have clearly done over the years. We have like a baseline number that we've put forward. I don't think they're necessarily super psyched that we didn't pay the entirety of our dues. But I think that's a decision for this council to make, whether or not we want to put forward the entire amount or not. My understanding is I don't think we're going to lose any offerings by not doing so, but I guess we'll just get a good ribbing from the speaker from North Dakota for a good while. At least I will. Senator Timberlake.
And I guess this is a question to you, Mr. President. Does every state participate, or is there some states that don't participate? Do all states participate at the same level? Does anybody have any clue? They got an answer to that? They probably don't.
I don't know for sure. I assume that other states participate at varying levels. I assume there are years where some states pay less than their dues, and I assume that the states have budgeted amounts. The thing with the budgeted amounts is, as I'm assuming most of the costs of NCSL and CSG are probably personnel costs, and personnel costs probably increase. And so the amount that they would be, the annual dues amount, it's not out of the realm of possibility that undergoes some increases over the years.
I got people out there that are texting me that say that are listening. Believe it or not, there are people who listen to us. That there are some states like Florida who don't pay the dues, so I would just.
See, Representative Dillingham has had her hand up.
Thank you. So my question would be to Ms. Gresser, if we don't pay our dues, does our staff and or legislators lose access to the information that they provide via their websites? Having the position of both staff and a legislator, both of those entities, in my experience, have always provided some very good detailed information on a variety of policies and the opportunity to really look at policies across the nation.
I don't think that, first of all, it's not if we don't pay our dues. I mean, we have paid our dues. It's whether or not we paid the full amount. And so that's the difference. So if you look at that chart on page 20, I think the request is 118 and the amount that we have paid is 87.8, and the difference between that is 30.5. So it's not that we're not paying our dues, it's that we have not paid the full amount. We have not paid the full amount in years past. the full amount that they requested in years past, and they certainly didn't say you can't participate. They do provide, scholarships to members. They provide training and things like that. As Representative Dillingham said, they do provide services, and I don't think that they would say that we couldn't use their services.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
for
would,
that answer.
I would just point out that we've in the last 13 years, which is on this, which we can see here on the sheet, we've basically six out of the 13 times we've paid the full due requested. I included the year where we were $9,000 short because that seems, not terribly far off. But I mean, at least for CSG. But Representative Talbot Ross.
Yeah, not to prolong the discussion any further, but you hit on something, Ms. Crusher, that I wanted to ask, and that is, for the years that we did not pay the full amount, did we see any decrease in service? Did we get denied something? Were we not able to participate in something? I just want to put this into what type of service, and as the senator had mentioned, what is it that we're getting? So did we not get something because we didn't pay them?
I don't believe so. I think that they have, both CSG and NCSL have made themselves available for new member training, for various and sundry training experiences, as well as leadership experiences, as well as conferences. And to Representative Dillingham's point, staff reaches out to both organizations on a not infrequent basis to find out what other states are doing, what other states experience with proposed legislation. It's being proposed in Maine. It's in effect in Colorado. What has the experience been? What do we need to think about when we're crafting our legislation? And I don't believe that anyone has ever said, we're not telling you because you didn't pay your full dues.
Yeah, and the quick follow-up is, it looks like CSG, at least 60% of their cost go to support the eastern region and 40 go to the national. So we do, it does feel like CSG may be a little bit more attentive than NCSL, but nonetheless, the total that we'd have to make up is 52, not 30. Yeah.
President Jackson.
Well, I mean, I think that we probably could pass this today, but I think that we also could wait and have, is it Wendell, CSG, and I can't think of Kate Warnock at NCSL. I'm sure they would zoom in and give us a rundown, which is, I think, probably a good thing to do for all of us anyways. So, I mean, I'm not going to stop the discussion or anything like that, but I would move at some point to table it.
I mean, I think that's worthwhile, especially since, I'd imagine they give us their time if they're looking for another $30,000 a piece from Ledge Council. So.
My motion's for 110, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
So 50,000 a piece or something. Anyway, point is, it's a good chunk of change. I'm sure they'd be willing to show up and tell us what the difference is. Senator Pouliot.
So I guess what I'm gathering from this, and if not, then we are crooks, that this is a request for like a donation to their organization, not a bill for services. Because if they're sending us a bill for 118 grand, I don't know what we're debating. We need to pay it unless we decide to remove ourselves from the organization.
Yeah, I don't think it's
like, I'm a member of the country club. When they send me a bill, I'm not like, oh, for my dues, I'm not like, oh, can I just give you $10,
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, really? No, I wouldn't. I mean, I think we need to pay this if it's a bill.
I think it's more like going to court on speeding tickets. There's some room there.
I would be fine. I would be open to a tabling motion. Not to say that we should, I'm not disagreeing with you, Senator Pouliot. I just think I would be nice to hear the difference. I mean, there's been 13 years, six of them in which we never did pay the full amount. So, why? What is the difference? And also, you know, it does increase it every year. I'd like to know a little bit more about why it's always increasing. But
I have the same question for state government.
let's seek a motion. Senator Representative Talbot Ross.
A motion to table this.
Representative Talbot Ross moves the table. Is there a second? Seconded by Representative Dunphy. I suspect we can probably do a show of hands. All those in favor? It looks like it is unanimous of those present. Thank you. Okay, next item is acceptance of annual report of the Washington County Development Authority. Is there a motion? President Jackson.
I move that we accept the report.
President Jackson moves to accept the report. Is there a second? Second by Representative Dunphy. All those in favor, a show of hands. It is unanimous of those present. Thank you. Back to old business. Senator Timberlake.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I tried to get a request in to put these things on the agenda, and you said, and I got word from the office that we could discuss them under new business. So before we get away, I would like to have
Sure
a
thing.
discussion on this.
For the listening audience, what are the things that you're referring to?
The mass.
Okay.
The mask, you know how I love them, and I've done a good sport and wore them even when I didn't want to. But it seems to me that when I look around and I look what Dr. Fauci and the rest of New England and every other state in New England is doing, I would like to think that when we come back here, coming up, that these would be removed and we could go back to somewhat normal living, because it seems to be the science is saying that this is all right now. And I would hope that those who want to wear them can, and those that don't need to. I just think it's time. And I think it would make all of our lives a lot easier day to day within this building. So I would put that in the form of a motion.
So just so I understand your motion is to remove the mask requirement when the legislature returns for its next legislative session day. Is that what I?
I would be kind enough to, I would do it right now if I thought I'd get that agreement out of you, but I'm not sure that I would. Okay, but I would say March 1st, but it's at the beginning of the month. It's kind of a fair start at the beginning of the month, and everybody gets to.
So next Tuesday.
I'm trying to find a compromise ground, and maybe we can get some agreement.
So Senator Timberlake has moved that the mask requirement be removed as of effective March 1. And I think Senator Pouliot seconded that motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no.
I think she.
Oh, Representative Dillingham.
Thank you. I would just say that I concur with everything that Senator Timberlake has said. I think that we can move forward in a safe and cautious manner with those individuals feeling comfortable that want to remove their masks to be able to do so, and those who continue to want to wear their masks, they can continue to do so as well.
Okay. Any other comments, discussion? President Jackson.
So the only thing, I'm actually trying to figure out how I'm gonna go here. Two things. I'm wondering, our next session date's March 9th. And forgetting about that, I would probably be more inclined to do something if we're not talking about committees, which is a much smaller, closed in process. And at this point, we don't know. We're probably gonna stay with a virtual setting until we see how this works anyways.
Hybrid.
To go with the hybrid. So those are kind of questions or thoughts that I have. It's March 9th out of the realm, and what does that mean for committees as opposed to the general legislature meeting in person?
Senator Timberlake.
And thank you, and thank you, Mr. President. It's a good question, but I look at, I'm looking at about 4 or 5 school districts in my area that are all removing the mask when they come back after vacation. I was seeing this throughout the state pretty much. I would think in committees, the same thing would happen. Well, you're gonna stay with a hybrid, we've already heard that, so there'll be some people that'll be here and some people that'll be there. And I think it's a decision that we make, but I think we have to make that step at some point in time back towards what I call normal. Some people may think this looks better on me this way. But I just think we have to make that step, and I think now is the time. We're seeing the school departments doing it up and down the state. We're seeing businesses do it. I see today 4 big businesses in the state of Maine remove the mask mandate on all their employees. So I'm seeing this, and I just think it's time. I think people have had enough. The numbers were way down again today. They're even coming down more than the lowest they've been since, I think, October. I heard of Halloween or something like that. They're getting way back to almost what they were back. So I just think it's time we move on. And so I think we can work around it. We can monitor it, see how it goes. And we're always subject. We come here often enough together that we can change it.
Senator Vitelli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While I certainly appreciate the desire to do away with masks, I'm a little bit more cautious in doing it at this point without first conferring with other members of our caucuses, with other members of the legislature as a whole, our staff, who are all going to be impacted by this change in policy. And I'm reminded that almost every day, it seems, we have been still getting notices from HR that someone still is coming down with the virus. So I think I would like us to get there, as well as my colleague, Senator Timberlake. But I don't think we're quite there yet. I would like to get more information, both from the other folks that work in this building about their responses to this idea, and also just get a better sense of what's actually happening. What's the occurrence within this building itself?
Thank you, Senator Vitelli. Senator Pouliot.
Sure. So I'm just wondering if I could get more clarity from folks who might be opposed to this on what data or how the decision is being made. Because to me, I think that it'll probably be tomorrow that CDC will come out with their new guidance about masks. I don't know if we're waiting for them, if that's the benchmark, or if it's a certain number of cases, or just if it's like no COVID period. If HR was reporting on how many people had a flu or something, we'd be getting emails every day. So I just, at some point, I just think we got to acknowledge that this virus is going to be around us. It's not going to go away. And so I think if we set that aside, what are we going to look at for data to make objective decisions about this, not just ones not based in data or science, which is where it seems like we're at now.
Yeah, I don't think anyone enjoys having to wear a mask. I would like to go about my daily business without wearing a mask as well. It's not the most fun thing in the world, but I also think that this legislature is time limited. We have until April 20th to do our work. We can go beyond, but then we're basically extending day by day. And my concern is just having any delays in this process because we decided to take steps that made people feel better about being in the building, but that didn't necessarily take into consideration how we make sure this place is as healthy as it possibly can be, especially for those on the nonpartisan staff who are integral to us completing our work. If we lose analysts, if we lose clerks, like the work comes to a screeching halt, and we only have so much time to get it done. And I think so far, I feel like we've done a pretty good job of making sure that this work continues to move forward despite what's happening outside these walls. The last time we had removed the mask mandate was midsummer when we were still in this building. And the hospitalizations were nowhere near where they are now. And you can see the chart. It's coming down, and I'm encouraged by that as well. But this is where we were when we got rid of the mask mandate. This is where we are right now. That's a lot of people still in hospitals. And that's a lot of people. Sorry?
211.
Yeah, it's too many. It's too many. And so for me, I want to get to a place where we can once again not have it as we did back in the middle of summer of last year when we were still here in the building. But I also don't want to jeopardize the work that we have before us because we want to be less uncomfortable with a mask on our face. For me, that's not worth that. It's not worth taking that step. I'd rather be uncomfortable and get our work done and keep people healthy than be comfortable and a little less cautious about the virus. Senator Timberlake.
Number one, I apologize for speaking. Sometimes my emotions come up. Not very often. I've done good over 12 to 14 years of sitting in this building of not letting them get too far out of control. But every once in a while, the fire comes out. And this is one of those issues. You know, I walked by caucuses the other day, that I'm not going to point out, but everyone I walked by when they was in their own rooms, there wasn't a soul wearing masks that I could see. And I go out to eat every day, and I left here yesterday when we left, and I went to a restaurant and ate, and there was people there from all things, and not a soul was wearing masks, and they're all people that are within this building. You know, it's a decision, and I don't think masks do as much as you think they do. I mean, we have the ability to agree to disagree, and that's all right. That's what makes America a great place. But at some point in time, my freedom becomes part of this. And I've been a good ball player. I've been really, really good. I've kept my caucus. Senator Jackson has asked me, you know, and when we removed him yesterday, we didn't give a hard time. We all put him back on. We did our thing. But there is a time where people are feeling that their freedoms are starting to get infringed on and government has overreached. And when you see what's happening in Europe and everywhere else around, they're removing them. Boston's removed them. I can go a list a mile long of places that have removed them. Because you either got to learn to live with it or not. And we're going to have to learn to live with COVID-19. It's here it's an endemic. It's not going to stop tomorrow. The flu didn't stop tomorrow. The cold ain't stopping tomorrow. And we're going to live with it. And if people are comfortable wearing the mask, then they wear the mask. And if people aren't, then let freedom ring. And that's where I'm at. I'm not convinced that I'm going to keep my caucus that bound up that much longer.
Yeah, and Senator Timberlake, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with some of what you said. I guess what I'm saying is it's February 24th. We have several session days ahead of us in March where we're all going to be here, and then probably several more in April. It's not like we're going to be here for the next 6 or 7 months, and this is going to be, you know, so like for me right now, I don't see there being the same conditions in the state as there were back in the summer of last year when we removed the mask mandate. So for me, it's like we have like 50 days left in this legislative session. If we get to a point where it looks more like the hospitalizations look more like they did back in the summer, I'm open to it. But at this point, I just don't see why we risk not completing our work and get rid of the mask mandate. That's just where I'm at. Timberlake. And then I'll come to you, Representative Dillingham. I see your hands up.
We're going to complete our work. Okay? We always have, we always will. We're going to complete our work. Okay? And it's going to be all right. Trust me, I promise you, it'll be all right. you know? But the time has come. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, but the time has come.
Representative Dillingham.
Thank you. I'm just going to share. I hear what Senator Vitale says. I'm hearing what you say, Mr. Speaker. I am respectfully frustrated because Senator Vitale points out the increase of, or the numbers of, we hear from HR about members or staff having COVID, but yet we're masking and it's still happening. You referenced last summer and looking at numbers, but yet if you also look on the opposite side of numbers, okay, so we've been masking, and you look on the opposite side, comparing what we have for vaccinations and members with individuals with boosters compared to now, and I'm frustrated that we're holding on to somehow that keeping us with masks, that we're somehow preventing the spread. That's not what's doing it. I will openly say, I think it's vaccinations that are helping. I think it's people getting the boosters that's helping. It's people having healthier habits, washing your hands. When you're sick, staying away from people. When you're coughing, make sure you stay away from people. That's what's helping. These masks, I think we have science that proves it really isn't, especially the ones that we wear, it's not the effect that individuals believe it to be on stopping the spread. But with that said, if somebody is comfortable wearing their mask and they feel safer, then wear the mask. And if an individual chooses that they feel that they are healthy enough and that they have their vaccination and they want to be able to sit in session or sit doing their work and committee work, or a staffer wants to be able to enter that building and go to their cubicle without putting a mask on their face, they should be able to do so. So I respect everyone's position, but I'm frustrated, and I believe it's time that we go ahead and let everyone that works in that building the individual choice. Because if you listen to those who don't want to wear the mask, that means you're not listening to those. If you listen to those who want to continue to wear a mask, you're putting their priority and their choice above those who don't want to wear a mask. So you're not listening to everyone. You're only listening to individuals that have the same opinion as you do. So I'm very frustrated. I hope that we can move forward. I'm fine with if President Jackson, I know he hasn't stated a particular position, but if he's inclined to support moving forward with March 9th, I would support that.
Thank you, Representative Dillingham. I mean, I think the problem here is it's a catch-22. Either you're with the people that don't want to wear them or you're with the people who do. I mean, so, you're asking me to vote on a motion that says to those who feel like it makes who believe that it makes this place more safe, which I also believe, because we know from the CDC that they've done studies that masking with an N95 or an N94 does improve the conditions for preventing the spread. I mean, I don't know what's been done in the House, but we provided every member with an N95 mask twice. And there are also members that are wearing face shields. So, I mean, I think we've been pretty flexible about what's required. Nothing, there are options available to members. And I think we've been very, very flexible. President Jackson.
Thank you, Representative. Sorry. That's, I think, my point too. I mean, I can't stand wearing the mask, but I've done it for more other people. I do believe it helps, but or probably does a lot. But like I said, I've done it more to make sure that I was respecting other people. And I will say very, very publicly, well, first off, whatever committee that caucus that Senator Timberlake walked by, and I know it wasn't mine, because we sit in here all the time right in here caucus with all our masks on. But I will say too publicly that Jeff is absolutely correct. I've been very, very appreciative of the respect that we've had, to do this, even though I understand him and many of his caucuses dislike. And so, I mean, we've managed, I think, relatively well. But my point is, I didn't realize, I think Senator Timberlake has said CDC reports tomorrow. He's said March 1st. I've said March 9th or proposed March 9th, or Well, all I'm saying is that is there a scenario where we pick this back up March 1st? I know that we can have a meeting. We'll have had the CDC report. Will have had time to at least talk to our caucus members. I expect we're gonna have a mix, but I mean, I don't think I'm prepared to vote on it today, but in 4 or 5 days, yes.
So just to clarify, President Jackson, are you suggesting that we have another meeting next week on this matter?
It'll be after the science is actually spoken.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what that's gonna say.
I'm trying to sort of dress up this film. Long thought mask.
So next Tuesday, we would have, I mean, okay, well, whatever day we have another meeting on this, I think that's, I'm open to it. I do think for at least for House Democrats, it would be important for us to have a caucus conversation before we make a decision here at Ledge Council, which we have not had yet. And I think respectfully, I would ask that you all would give us that time to have that conversation first.
I respect that, but I can tell you that my caucus has given me total permission to speak for them. Because I will assure you, if you come into our caucus, there is nobody wearing a mask.
And I think, sorry, Mr. Chair. I think it's important for people to know, like, to me, this is not, at least personally, this is not a political thing. You know, I've had COVID twice. And, you know, the second time I got it, we had to come in here. It was more than 10 days after I got it, but I still wore a mask in caucus out of respect for my colleagues. You know what I mean? But, you know, if sensible adults are like, hey, I don't have symptoms, things seem okay, and I feel comfortable not wearing one, I'm not going to wear one. And if folks don't feel comfortable, then they can keep one on, you know? So it's like, I think there is room for us to kind of just have a happy medium on it and respect whether people have on or off, knowing that, at least from what we're gathering nationally, they don't really seem to move the needle as much as vaccines do. And we're having a very higher rate of vaccination. And now, unfortunately, some people like me have high rate of natural immunity because I've had this thing twice now. So, I mean, I think, you know, I hope that we can not make it like, hey, we're not doing this because the Republicans want to do it, or vice versa. Like, we want to do this because the Democrats don't. And I'm not insinuating that you do, but I mean, I know that I've been around this building long enough to know that some people, it's that small of, like, you know, a decision, a part of the process. So I just, you know, I hope we can just look at the data and the science about making that decision. And I appreciate you sharing your chart. You know, I would say that the rates were the highest that we've ever had when everybody was like fully masked, and the highest level of vaccination that we had. So I'm hoping that powers that be that have a lot more, you know, time to dig into this will actually find a way to get rid of COVID, because we definitely haven't found that yet.
Any further discussion on this item? There's a motion on the floor. Senator Timberlake.
For today, with the assurance that on, let me get my phone out. I'm gonna look at my calendar. See which day that I'm supposed to mess with Troy. I'm just teasing. We gotta have a little fun here and smile in this place.
I would say that's probably any day of the week.
Some days are more fun than others. And I ain't smart enough to run my calendar. So it looks like the week of March 1st that we have you assure me that we're gonna have another meeting and we can have this discussion.
I'm open to that. Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, we could also just table this motion and have it pending.
I can do that too.
I would be open to
Okay.
whichever way you want to go.
I would make a motion to table my bill
Okay.
until, with the assurance that we're gonna have a meeting next week.
Table by Senator Timberlake, seconded by Senator Pouliot. Yeah. All those in favor, show of hands. Unanimous in the room. I got Senator Vitelli, Senator Daughtry, and Representative Dillingham. Thank you. We will have a meeting next week. On that matter, okay. Old business, which we passed through earlier. Item number 1 is council actions taken by ballot, no action required for information. That information begins on page 14. And then item number 2, consideration of table bill requests for introduction in the second regular session of the 130th legislature from October 25th and November 18th legislative council meetings. Item number 2 begins on page 15. Are there any items folks want to discuss on that were tabled previously? Yes, yes. Yep. Starts on page 15. So Senator Stewart. Not seeing 17. Thank you. Oh, there it is. LR 2531, an act to require certain public health rules to be adopted as major substantive rules. Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So appreciate you folks taking this this bill up. I wasn't able to make the previous meeting, so that was why I got carried over. But this bill came to us. We did some research. We, as in the Senate Republican office, did some research into the history around the difference between major substantive and routine technical rules. And obviously the big factor there is that the major substantive rules require that the legislature and specifically the committee of jurisdiction play more of an oversight role in that process. And so a great example of why this matters is because of the vaccine mandate. And effectively, when those rules were changed by the governor, there was no role for the legislature in that process. Whether you agree with the mandate or don't, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that the legislature and the committee that's elected as closest to the people ought to have a role in that process. And I believe in the history of things, that used to actually be the case. And it wasn't until, and Suzanne, I can't see if she's in the room or not, but she could provide more of an overview as well. It was not always the case that routine technical rules sort of ruled the day. And so this bill, particularly given what's happened since we adjourned in the last legislature to when this one started in the last legislative session, I should say, to when this one started in January, a lot can happen. And we feel it's important to that going forward and in the months to come, particularly as the pandemic continues to, have implications for our daily lives, including the long discussion that you folks just had about masks and should we do it, should we not? Well, the point is the legislature should have a role in that. And I'm sure that President Jackson appreciates that notion as well as a Senate president. So that's the purpose of the bill. The reason it's late is because it came in the wake of the decision to use the routine technical process for the mandate, which happened after we had adjourned. And so that's the justification, and that's the point of the bill, and why it's important to have this conversation this session before we adjourn in a month and a half, and then don't have any say in this process going forward for another 8 months until we come back in the following January. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from council for Senator Stewart? Senator Pouliot.
I have a question that maybe Ms. Gresser could answer. Is there public hearings for routine technical changes?
It's my understanding that all rulemaking goes through, whether it's routine technical or major substantive, goes through the normal rulemaking process that includes public hearings, interested parties, providing information, et cetera, et cetera.
So the only difference is the major substantive has the legislative review piece.
I believe that there did not used to be a distinction between major substantive and routine technical. And there used to just be rules. And I don't recall when, it was within the last 30 some odd years, the legislature established the notion of major substantive rules. So all rules used to be adopted using the routine technical process. The legislature established the major substantive process for rules that they wanted the agency to bring back to the legislature before they became final. And so the way it works is if the legislature believes that a rule should be major substantive, it states so in the statute.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Gresser, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they all have public hearings, but I thought it was 90 days after the rulemaking on technical, which the rule's already been in effect for 90 days before you could even testify on it.
So there's a difference between emergency rulemaking. That may be what, there is something called emergency rulemaking. Mr. Charbonneau, do you have, what were you?
No, I was just wondering if you were, when you asked if there was a public hearing, if you meant by the legislature on the rules. And I think that the distinction is the major substantive do, the routine technical don't. But rulemaking itself does get noticed by the agency.
I apologize. I did not realize you were asking about legislative hearings. There are not legislative hearings, but there are agency rulemaking is a process in and of itself.
Julia.
So a lot of times we in the legislature will send things to people to vote on, for referendum, and because we want them to participate in what's going on. And to me, take what the content of this is out completely and just focus on anything that's related to public health. To me, that should be getting an opportunity for a public hearing and engagement from people. When I worked really diligently on trying to improve financial literacy, it wasn't until they did the routine technical rule changes within the department to get that changed around, but they had some meetings in the public and I watched them and nobody went to it, And so I think that even though there is an opportunity for the public to participate in that way, I think there's a lot more focus and frankly, access now with what we're doing with the hybrid model and so forth for people to participate when it comes through the legislature. And so I wish that it weren't this particular topic because it's like so firebrand but I think that people should be able to participate and weigh in on these rule changes because a lot of times they're just as big as some of the statute change that we make as the legislature in terms of how they impact people.
Any further questions for the sponsor? Seeing none. I don't know how many times technical rules, major substantive, minor technical get promulgated throughout the year, but I suspect they happen far more frequently than than the legislature gets paid to be in this building throughout the year. Want to coincide this bill with a bill to make the legislature full time probably would make sense, but I think rules are being promulgated all year round, and this legislature was not designed for all year round business. So for that and many other reasons, I'll be opposing whatever motion comes forward to move this in. There you go. Is there a motion? Senator Timberlake.
A motion to move it in.
Senator Timberlake moves it in. Is there a second? Second by Senator Pouliot. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Gresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot?
Yes.
Senator Timberlake?
Yes.
Senator Daughtry?
No.
Senator Vitelli? No. Representative Dillingham?
Yes.
Representative Talbot Ross?
No.
Representative Dunphy?
No.
Mr. President?
No.
Mr. Speaker?
No.
Mr. Speaker, it's 3-6. The motion fails.
Thank you. Any other items that were tabled previously? I'm trying to see, Senator Bennett's here. Anyone want to take that one up? Senator Timberlake? Actually, I may have done things incorrectly the previous time. Does it require a motion to take an item off the table, or is it just?
It's just assumed.
Okay, thank you. I don't know which page this item is on. It's from Senator 17. Thank you. Thank you. This is LR 2574, an act to retroactively approve by a 2/3 vote of the legislature the lease of certain public lands by the Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, Bureau of Public Lands. Senator Bennett, the floor is yours to explain this one to us. Thank you.
Thanks. This couldn't have come before deadline because of the certification election results. This bill would follow on the vote of the people on ballot measure number 1, which, as we all know, passed 60-40, where the people of Maine explicitly asked the legislature to weigh in on this particular lease to assert not just our right as a legislature, but our responsibility under Article 9, Section 23, and to do so retroactively for this particular lease. As you know, the Legislative Council has now let in 3 bills this year because of the new interpretation by BPL under the new law as enacted by the voters. This measure was explicitly asked for by the voters that we vote on it. And so this bill provides us the vehicle to undertake the responsibilities that the people of Maine have entrusted with us with our vote, with that vote on November 2nd.
Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none. Any discussion amongst council? Senator Pouliot.
Yeah, for the exact same reason that I just said, public should be involved. I really think this bill should be able to have a discussion as well. So I move it in.
Moved in by Senator Pouliot. Is there a second? Second by Senator Timberlake. Any further discussion amongst council?
In and amend it to send the ERA out to the people. Because I probably should have a public discussion too, but just saying.
Any further discussion on this? Seeing none. What's that? Ms. Gresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot,
Yes.
Senator Timberlake,
Yes.
Senator Daughtry,
No.
Senator Vitelli. No. Representative Dillingham. Absent. Yeah. Representative Talbot Ross.
No.
Representative Dunphy.
No.
Mr. President,
No.
Mr. Speaker,
No.
2 yeses, 6 noes. So it does not prevail.
Thank you. Representative Dillingham says that her phone died. She did not bring a charger with her, so.
Oh.
I don't see any other members present that have tabled votes. Any other items on table that folks want to take up? Yes.
Mr. Landry is here from the Public Advocate's Office. It was a bill that was tabled at the last meeting.
Yes. Any member of council want to take this item up? Wait, I mean, it is an affirmative action from council. It is LR 256, an act to impose certain restrictions on the participation in net energy billing by certain customers.
Yes, I want to hear.
Okay.
What page? I don't think the text is in there.
Also on page 17.
Yeah.
Mr. Landry, just please explain why the bill is after deadline.
Well, I did that last time.
Okay.
I'm here not because we were tabled last time because some folks wanted to read the bill, which is we circulated immediately.
Right,
and-
that's
and
correct.
then we reviewed. The purpose of the bill is to correct an omission in the net energy billing statute. Under the current structure of the bill, the owners of renewable energy projects, the developers of community solar can sell the renewable credits created by them to third parties, including third parties out of state, and they do not retain any renewable attributes to be assigned to the energy which is actually delivered to community solar customers. The result is that this very expensive program will actually not increase the amount of renewable energy that's consumed in Maine. This bill will require community solar customers and developers to comply with the same renewable portfolio standards that the state would offer and the renewable and competitive energy suppliers do for people who participate in the retail market. In other words, in our view, this program is not helping increase the amount of renewable energy consumed in Maine. In fact, it may be reducing it.
Thank you for your explanations. Senator Timberlake, question?
Yes. And thank you for being here, and I'll make it short and quick. Will this bill help lower electricity costs in any way?
That's another issue with the program, and there's a separate bill that the governor, I think, is going to be introducing with respect to that issue. This bill addresses the problem with the fact that we're spending a lot of money as a state on these community solar projects, and they're not delivering renewable energy to Maine customers. That's my concern with the bill. This does not address that issue. There's a separate bill that we're working on with the governor's office intended to address that issue.
Further questions from council? Senator Pouliot.
I would make a motion to move this in.
Senator Pouliot moves it in. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Timberlake. Any further discussion? I will likely be opposing the motion. I think that EUT has plenty of bills in their possession. I imagine they have some vehicles they could probably use, and I would ask the director to speak to members of EUT. I know they have a number of concept drafts down there, and I am not in the mood for many more bills. Proved a couple of easy ones today, but this does not sound easy by any means. So any further discussion? Seeing none, Ms. Cresser, please call the roll.
Senator Pouliot,
Yes.
Senator Timberlake,
Yes.
Senator Daughtry,
No.
Senator Vitelli,
No.
Representative Dillingham. Absent. Representative Talbot Ross,
No.
Representative Dunphy. No. Mr. President. Mr. Speaker.
No. Motion fails.
Motion fails.
Any other items on table that folks want to take up? Seeing none. Thank you. Announcements and remarks. Any announcements or remarks? We'll see you all next week. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Senator Timberlake, seconded by Representative Talbot Ross. Approved by implication.